Okay, I'll cut to the chase. Percy Jackson and pretty much all of Rick Riordan's book series are some of my favorite pieces of literature ever. I don't care if they're written for teens, I don't care if they're tropey, these books are so fun to read. They're popular for a reason, and the reason is that they're good. And something you might know about Percy Jackson is that at one point they tried to adapt the books into a series of movies, and they were bad. I haven't watched these recently, but I know for a fact that these two movies are some of the most shitty, misguided attempts at making an adaptation I've ever seen. So obviously in 2022, when I found out that a TV adaptation got greenlit by Disney and Rick Riordan was involved with production, I was pretty excited. And after watching season 1 and season 2, I'd say the show is just fine. It is just okay. It's not as bad as the movies, not that that's saying much, but it's definitely a lot worse than I thought they would be. So, what happened? Let me be clear, I do not dislike this show because it's not exactly like the books. I like when adaptations make creative decisions. I can like when they change stuff. But, and this is very important, if they change something, it has to be better than the original. And so many changes in this show are for the worse. Episode 1 is pretty okay. It introduces us to Percy Jackson, the demigod main character, Grover Underwood, Percy's best friend who turns out to be a satyr, and Chiron, Percy's teacher who turns out to be a centaur. If you don't know Percy Jackson, basically what happens in this episode is through a series of events that involves his math teacher trying to kill him, Percy finds out that he's the son of one of the Olympian gods and that the Greek myths were real and still alive in America today. Some more stuff happens, Percy's mom gets killed by the Minotaur, Percy takes down the Minotaur, and that's pretty much that. I genuinely think that this is a pretty good start for the series. Like, there are some positive things I have to say. I think the casting for Grover is perfect. Like, this is definitively Grover Underwood. This is him. The Minotaur fight scene was pretty cool. I actually liked watching it. And that's it for the overt positives, but it was still pretty decent. Now, for the negatives, well, in the book, Percy's stepdad, Gabe, is like a piece of shit scumbag human being. He steals Percy's money to gamble, he yells at his wife all day, and at the end of the book, it's heavily implied that he actually beat Sally. And the reason this works in the book's favor is because at the end of the book, Sally uses Medusa's severed head to turn Gabe into a garden sculpture, so his shittiness is necessary. In the show, Gabe is just kind of a dick. Like, the worst he does is just sort of mock Percy. There's even this scene where him and Sally have an argument, but it doesn't feel like a real argument. They feel like an old married couple. Like, they actually seem to love each other. So the fact that he's still turned into stone at the end of the season and is never brought up again feels a bit more sinister. This is a part of a pattern of this show just making characters less shitty than they usually would be, and it just hurts the plot every time. All of the gods in the books are at least 20% shitty. Hephaestus is a jealous, bitter man. Ares is just the biggest dickhead in the world. Hades is jealous and bitter at Olympus and is betraying everyone all the time. But in the show, they're toned down and it just feels worse. It just feels like they're so afraid of making their characters too flawed, but I think it just makes it fall flat. Another similarity that this show has with the Avatar adaptation by Netflix. There's some smaller things too. Percy talks about how he's this troublemaking kid, but we never actually see him making any trouble. Like, for perspective, in the books, he shoots a cannonball through a school bus, so him climbing onto the roof of this building to see a Pegasus, it doesn't compare. Can I see him shoot a cannonball through a school bus? Mrs. Dawes attempting to attack Percy in the middle of a crowd instead of inside the museum like in the books is just straight up dumb. Like, I don't know why they did this. Talia's tree is just absolutely pathetic. In the books, it's described as a White House Christmas tree-sized pine tree, and this is what it is in the show. What the fuck is that? I'll tell you one thing, it's not Talia's tree. But overall, the pilot was decent. Good enough. Episode 2 is the episode where Percy starts to get his bearings at Camp Half-Blood. Oh yeah, by the way, the place that they were going was this place called Camp Half-Blood, which is a summer camp that helps train demigods. He meets some people, Luke, Annabeth, Clarice, makes Toilet explode on aforementioned Clarice, and Clarice beats him up and captures the flag, and they find out that he's the son of Poseidon. The camp director, Dionysus, played by Rexplode, tells Percy that he needs to go on a quest to retrieve this master bolt that was stolen from Zeus, and he needs to get it because Zeus thinks that Percy stole it, and Zeus and Poseidon are about to go to war, and that's the episode. Okay, good things. Jason Mantzoukas is perfect as Dionysus. There is not better casting you could do for him. I know in the books he's described as looking sort of like a cherub, but short of Danny DeVito, this is the best casting for Dionysus. The other characters... I don't necessarily have a problem with Luke, Annabeth, and Clarice's casting. It's just kind of whatever for me. There's some more weird changes in the plot that I don't understand. So Kronos is the villain of pretty much the whole series. If you don't know, Kronos is the king of the Titans, who ruled the earth before the ages of the gods, who was cut up in a million pieces by Zeus and thrown into the pits of Tartarus. And now, Kronos is trying to rise out of Tartarus and take down the Olympians again. In the first book specifically, he's portrayed as an ominous voice coming from a pit, beckoning Percy closer to the dark side, and I think that's like pretty eerie. I think that's pretty cool. And in the show, they take away all of that because they make Kronos this fucking Grim Reaper sort of guy, so any sort of atmosphere that you could have gotten out of Kronos is taken away from how fucking stupid this is. Why? For some reason, this show seems allergic to showing us Chiron as an archer. It's a pretty big part of his character, but in the whole 2 seasons, we see Chiron with a bow 1 time in the season finale of season 2. He doesn't even get the dignity of being the archery instructor in this episode. It's kind of sad. And for some reason, Dionysus is very insistent that Percy needs to go on this quest, which I think is stupid. This is Dionysus, god of party and wine. He was sent to Camp Half-Blood as punishment. He should not give a shit about the grand scheme of stuff happening at camp. And in the books, he's represented like that properly. In this situation specifically, he's actually adverse to the idea of Percy going on the quest and says that he should just turn Percy into a dolphin instead. But in the show,
the fate of the world hangs in the balance.
It's just not the done thing. Episode 3. Yeah, Percy starts his quest and gets held up by Medusa. He chooses Grover to come along with him because they're friends, and he chooses Annabeth to come along with him because she's smart. Pretty simple, plot-wise. I actually have very little to say about this episode. It was fine, the changes were baffling and overall pointless as usual, but it was okay. The big thing I have to talk about this episode is that this is the first time that it shows us Lin-Manuel Miranda playing Hermes, which when I saw that, I was like, fuck! Hermes is one of the most important gods to the books, and narratively, he might be the most important. He has this sad mysticism to him because, spoiler alert, his son Luke is evil and working for Kronos. In the books, he's really solid, and the moment I saw Lin as Hermes, I thought to myself, there is no way this man can play this character. This guy, the guy who wrote Hamilton and In the Heights, the guy whose whole thing is, you know, being over the top and wacky and I am not throwing away my shot. There is no way he can play Hermes. He is not fit for this character. And I have been proven right by every subsequent time that Hermes is on the screen because he's so fucking bad. It is crazy that in a cast full of kids, he still manages to be the worst fucking actor on that set. Episode 4, they continue on their adventure. Hijinks happen. They accidentally blow up the St. Louis Arch. Not very important. I don't actually have much to say about this episode. It was actually kind of good. Episode 5, however... oh boy. So episode 5 is the episode in which they meet Ares, who says he'll help them out because they're in a real bind at this point in the plot. But Ares says before he's gonna help them, he needs them to get his shield from this water park. In the books, this sequence is pretty simple. Percy and Annabeth try to get the shield, but it turns out it's a trap from Hephaestus, and they get in a bit of a sticky situation, but eventually they get out of it without dying. But in the show... fuck, okay. First off, the ride we're on is called the Tunnel of Love, but for some reason it's just showing Hephaestus' tragic backstory. I think the patrons of the water park will probably be confused by that. Anyways, the ride goes haywire, they find this throne in the middle of the ride, and they swim up to it, and Ares' shield is there. And there's this big dramatic moment where Percy sacrifices himself to sit down on the throne and be trapped to let Annabeth continue the quest. Then Hephaestus himself shows up and tells Annabeth to move along, but Annabeth says some shit about helping her friends and is able to convince this literal god into changing his mind and letting Percy go, and what the fuck are we doing? Why? Literally, just why? This scene is so melodramatic, it feels like it's from a fucking soap opera. It feels so pointless in the grand scheme of things, and also, how the fuck is Annabeth able to convince a god, who are famously stubborn in Greek mythology, to change his mind so quickly? This scene has no value. It's trying so hard to have value, but it just doesn't. It's stupid. Bad. bad scene. Bad. God, it's bad. Episode 6, more of the same. Percy and co go to this magic casino in LA, and it's really pointless, and it's pretty much just a fetch quest. Whatever. Episode 7... like, I don't care, man. Percy and friends go to the underworld, and the magic shoes that Luke gave Percy try to drag Grover into the pits of Tartarus, which makes Percy find out that Kronos is rising and was the one behind the stealing of the lightning bolt and the helm of darkness. And then they escape to this beach with these pearls to fight Ares. Whatever. I don't know. What do you want me to say? The underworld is not done justice at all. This is not the fields of Asphodel. This isn't even a fucking field. What the hell is this? Why were they given 4 of their escape pearls if Annabeth is just gonna lose one? Hey, why not just be given 3? I don't know. Episode 6, Percy fights Ares, who has the masterful combat strategy of standing still as a 20-foot wave crashes onto him. Masterful, if I do say so myself. Percy returns the lightning bolt to Zeus, and it's just so dramatic. Luke turns out to be evil. Ha! Whoa! And the season ends. Fuck, I am just so out of energy to talk about season 1. It's just all the same. Do I care to talk about how Luke's betrayal scene is 20 times worse in the show than in the books? Or that Percy immediately knows everything about why Luke betrayed him and pretty much just knows everything? Or that Disneyland is mentioned by name to remind you that yes, this is a Disney Plus show? Or that Luke says, "I'll crush you like a bug"? No. I don't even care enough to go episode by episode with season 2 because it just is the same. It starts out kind of promising, and then the last 3 episodes, I'm just so fucking bored out of my mind. Okay, hold on. Let's cut to a new section. This show is by no means worthless. There is stuff that I genuinely like. Grover was cast great. There were some episodes in season 2 that I actually thought were kinda good and made changes for the better. Tyson from season 2 is my favorite character in the show. Zeus was well acted. But the good stuff pales in comparison to the sheer amount of weird changes and dumbed down writing. There is no fucking subtext in the show. Someone says something and it just is. There is no layers, there is no depth, there is nothing. The last 3 episodes of season 2 change so much and do so much weird shit, but don't write intellectually at all, that it's so fucking boring. I do not even think I could bring myself to write about these episodes, because they're so laughably bad. There were so many times that I would pause the episode and say out loud, what are we doing? And I think it all boils down to 3 main problems with the show. 1. Too much ambition. I think the writers need to slow down and ask themselves, does this deviation from the plot add value to the scenes that we are adapting? And if the answer is no, then don't fucking do it. Don't make Luke poison Talia's tree in front of Percy and Annabeth. Don't make it so that Percy gives Luke the golden fleece. Don't make Medusa this weird sympathetic villain. Just don't do it. You can always stick to the books, because the books are good. I just don't understand why there's so many changes that are clearly for the worse. Like at a certain point, just don't bother. What's the point? You're just gonna keep writing people. Bad?
That's not true.
Disney, this is what you do. You write bad over and over and over, and then there's this show of remorse.
It's not a show.
I know you don't think it's a show. I don't doubt that your intentions to make a good show are real, but what's the point in all the sad faces and the gnashing of teeth? If you're not gonna make a change for the better, and you won't, why not skip the whole exercise? 2. Some of these castings are off. Like, obviously Lynn as Hermes, but also Tantalus. Tantalus is briefly the activities director in book 2 of Percy Jackson, and he's this weird, slimy, cunning character who pretty much tries to make it so that camp isn't defended as the barriers to camp are breaking. And in the show, he's a series of unfortunate events character. He acts like Tantalus at times, sure, but this look and whenever he tries to do something villainous, I don't know, man, this gives me the distinct vibe of the Netflix adaptation of a series of unfortunate events. And the last problem, and really the problem at the core of the show is, how do I put this? It's the kids. Child actors are famously usually not very good. I cannot think of a single good dramatic TV show that mainly stars kids. And that's just because adults are better at acting than children. There were so many lines from Percy and Annabeth that they would say, and I would just ask myself, why are they saying it like that?
Laestrygonians.
Come again?
Giant cannibals from the far north. Odysseus fought them once. Strong, but stupid.
They fight like a team, so not that stupid.
Why are they talking like they're in the MCU and it's a super intense scene? We're just talking about giants. I hate to say it, but Annabeth in particular, like, okay, she's not bad, But I do not think there's any point in this show that I would call her good. And this isn't some weird, oh, she's a DEI, she's blackwashing thing. I'm sure they auditioned a number of people and she was the best one. It's not even really her fault. She does good for her age. The problem is that actually good child actors are very hard to find. When I think of good child actors, I think of Ryan from The Boys, Haley Joel Osment, Golden Freddy from the FNAF movies, and that's it. I don't want to be rude. I know these kids are trying their hardest, and this show does need to star kids because it's a story about kids, but these scenes just feel so lackluster, and in conjunction with the dumbed down writing and the weird changes they make, it just makes the show feel so mid. Let me put it this way. Tyson is my favorite character in the show, and he has two things that the other main cast doesn't. One, he's written pretty much identical to how he's written in the books, and two, his actor is 30. I know being a child actor is hard, like almost a nightmare hard, but I feel it would be dishonest to leave this out of the video because it is a problem with the show. A significant problem. What more is there to say? I mean, I could talk about the show more. I have this huge list of individual gripes I had, but all of these issues pretty much fall in these three categories, so there really is no point. Conclusion? I know that this video was really negative, but I want to be clear, I don't hate this show. Most of the scenes aren't even bad, they're just boring and like good enough. And I'm honestly interested to see what they do in later seasons of the show. Like in season 5, how the fuck are they gonna do the Battle of Manhattan? Like if you haven't read the books, it's this battle where everyone in New York is put to sleep and Cronus' army is like invading New York. How the fuck are they gonna do that? There are maybe one or two interesting additions to the plot, but when it comes together, I'm sad because I know that this show is going to be how like 70% of the newer generation is going to experience the story of Percy Jackson. The Percy Jackson books are genuinely good. I reread the first two for this video and I just had so much fun rereading them that I ended up doing the entire series. And to be clear, both are the first books that I've read in like 2 years, and I wish I was joking. It should not be difficult to adapt these books. There are a few weird things that you can make changes to, but the fact that they changed so many broad stroke plot points is just weird to me. Like something I didn't even mention is that they jump the gun on so many plot points that are going to show up later in the books that I'm like, do they give a shit about payoff? I don't think they do. I don't want you leaving this video thinking that I'm some sort of adaptation purist who thinks there needs to be a one-to-one replica of the books. You can make changes to the story if you want. Just make it good. Don't make it bad. Don't make it dumbed down. There are a bunch of great movies that are adaptations from books. Jurassic Park, American Psycho, Project Hail Mary. But Percy Jackson just does not make the cut. 5 out of 10.
Disney, this is what you do. You write bad over and over and over, and then there's this show of remorse.
It's not a show.
I know you don't think it's a show. I don't doubt that your intentions to make a good show are real, but what's the point in all the sad faces and the gnashing of teeth? If you're not going to make a change for the better, and you won't, why not skip the whole exercise? In the end, you're going to hurt every franchise around you. You can't help it. So stop apologizing and accept it. Embrace it. Frankly, I'd respect you more if you did. What about you, Gug? You've never made some mid in your life? You're just some perfect content creator? Let me put your mind at ease, Disney. I don't have to watch you. We don't have to understand each other. Things are fine the way they are.
Hey.
I don't want to hurt your feelings. But the truth is, you've never mattered all that much to me.
Hey, welcome to the outro. It's raining, so I'm not in the usual spot, but you can see it back there. It's basically the same. I don't really have anything to say, to be honest, about this video. I like the way it came out, although I think I condensed a lot of my opinions, and it was maybe structured in a way that was a bit chaotic, but I still think it came out good. To be honest, I didn't put as much effort as I could have in this one, because there was other things that I have been doing in my real life, which I do have one. But I promise you, at the next video, it's gonna be a big one! Follow my Instagram to see if I remember to post the Instagram story for when each video goes up, because I usually forget. And bye.